basically I'm reared up in my mum's side as a gypsy and a traveller. That's where I've been brought up from. I've been born and brought up in a caravan at Burdock Country Park, just the outskirts from it. The reason why I started doing TikTok is because I seen it advertised on the TV. I've been involved with hanging about with the wrong crowd, and the van overtook me, pulled beside me, ran me off the road while I was in high speed, and the car flipped on top of its roof, right? They put a bin bag over my head, and I was poor shaking, I was scared, I was screaming, fucking stop and all that, I'm sorry, what have I done? Fucking shut up, you prick. I've been in the jail 7 times and it's horrible, it's tough, it's mentally draining. My granddad's a very lonely man, and I was the only one was there to help him out, support him, and I'm just trying to keep my tears in.
No, you're fine, mate.
It's painful, trust me, it's very painful. I think, see Kaz Milligan, I think he's got something I heed that size there. I think he's something, but he isn't. You know what I mean? I don't have any friendship or any total response with Kaz Milligan, because my understanding is a bam, and then Kaz Milligan's dad called me a tube. You know what I mean? Called me a tube. Imagine calling me a tube, What really helped me with mental health? To get up and walk away from Scotland and move down to England. That's what helped me, you know what I
mean? Lee Sutherland, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, it's an honour to have you on, Lee.
Thank you so much.
A massive social media presence you've got. So yep. I'm interested to get started, but before we dive right into your story, if you can talk me through what you have going on in the now and the present moment.
So, my name is Lee Sutherland, and basically I'm famous on TikTok. I have a lot of followers. So, what I do on TikTok is educate people with criminal law and basically understanding the majority of rights, human rights, common law, stuff like that. Not just that as well, I usually do have a laugh. A big fan of cars and stuff like that on TikTok, so that's what I do. Yep.
Brilliantly. So if you can take me back now to like your first chapter, your early memories of childhood.
Right. So since I was a young child in my livelihood, when I was basically, I'm reared up in my mum's side as a gypsy and a traveller. That's where I've been brought up from. I've been born and brought up in a caravan at Burdock Country Park, just the outskirts from it. So basically, that was my livelihood in the days back in the 90s, So I've been kind of reared up in caravans, the most poverty, rough lifestyle, So that's why I've been reared up.
Growing up in that
Yep.
type of environment, it must have been hard.
It's tough, especially back in that basically that generation, you know what I mean? So it's really, really tough, mentally tough, I could just understand it's like no money, living in poverty lifestyle, living in old damp caravans, you know what I mean?
You're moving around all the time.
Exactly, moving around here and there, all over the great parts of Scotland, do you know what I mean? So, yep.
So that gypsy lifestyle, right? I'm sure we spoke about it before. So I think when you started getting into your teenage years, you started to really feel it taking effect on your mental health.
Yep.
Did you have really bad mental health, like you were attempting suicide, stuff like that?
So basically, when myself, my parents and all that, when I was back in my teenage age, that's when we were living in houses at that point, avoiding away from the gypsy and traveller lifestyle, living in caravans. So basically living in Milngavie, Bearsden and Milngavie, that's where I've been brought up from most of my years. So basically that I've been through, like my mental health is very tough, you know what I mean? Like it's hard going. I never had a really steady, balanced lifestyle, which obviously I'm living at the moment. A lot of people understand, a lot of followers, they watch me on my TikTok videos. So I do get quite a lot of support, and that's what kind of helps me to go through my mental health. So
we get a lot of love and a lot of hate on social media. I know you've got a massive platform, and you need to put up with constant trolls, bullying. A lot of people go through that when they put their face up front for these type of things. But before we dive right into that, when you started getting big in social media, but take me back to when your first struggles with mental health. I think you said was it early teenage years? Or?
Yeah, so basically when I was like 16, 17 years old, I felt like I wanted to... I felt like I never had a lot of friends. I'd never had no friends at all. I felt like I wanted to suicide myself, for the last few times. I even took an overdose with like paracetamol. I took 2 boxes of paracetamol and I overdosed myself. I was homeless. I never wanted to speak to anybody. I stayed in the house. I was homeless. I never had any food or nothing. Never had nothing in my life. And that's the reason why I wanted to self-harm myself, And it's tough. It's really, really tough, And a lot of guys like my age, they suffer with mental health, and mental health is a very strongly horrible effect in people's life,
It's great that you can speak about these things,
yeah.
Lee. So going through the process of having these suicidal thoughts, living yourself, becoming homeless, breaking away from the family, as you said, again, growing up in that poverty lifestyle, it's all you know. When did you really start to get involved in the social media thing? Was it early?
So it was a week before COVID. The reason why I started doing TikTok is because I seen it advertised on the TV. I wanted to download TikTok. That's like, again, before COVID and all that lockdown. And I decided to just download it and start using TikTok, So, and basically I just started like doing funny videos, So, again, it does help your mental health. A lot of people were struggling during lockdown, COVID. A lot of guys my age, they were struggling. Even older guys, everybody was struggling.
I know you've had your troubles with the law.
Yeah, I did. So I got myself into a lot of trouble. This was well before COVID,
So can you talk me through that actually? So when you've had a few sentences. Well, actually, it was only remands.
I was only remands because I never ever had a custodial sentence.
Right.
I did have an unsuspended sentence. Unsuspended sentence means that you be let out in bail, granted bail. Why? Because you promised the court not to get yourself into trouble again. And that is a promise from court, which is a great defence. And like what I always say, there's a defence for every offence out there.
So you were known in TikTok at the start. And I'm sure you told me when you were remanded for the very first time. Do you remember it?
I did, aye. So back in 2017, I got remanded. I got myself in a lot of trouble. I was hanging about with like the wrong crowd. Like, these are no daft wee guys. These are serious gangsters, which I was hanging about with. I was stupid back then. I wasn't understanding that the potential of the outcome or the layback of these type of guys. These guys are really serious gangsters. I'm not going to mention any names of it, but apparently that the outcome of that, the car was set on fire and stuff like that. Again, hanging about with just stupid guys, got me into a lot of trouble. And then apparently that I came to a point that I'd been kidnapped, So
see, before you go into that story, you actually been kidnapped.
I did. So
can you talk me through when you were first remanded? Was it Ballini you went to?
So I've been in Ballini for 5.5 months. That's while I was remanded.
What was your experience there? Obviously, you were well known amongst the guards and the prisoners.
Right. So
what kind of reception did you receive?
So basically, Ballini is a tough jail. Right. Ballini is a tough jail. You have to share with an inmate. So it's just you don't know who you're staying with. You know what I mean? Or sharing a cell with. I've been through like number of years or the number of times I've been in Ballini. I think it was like 4 or 5 times I've been in Ballini. And the worst inmate which I've been into, one was a murderer, the other one was a drug dealer, The other one had slashes all over his body. Most of these guys in Ballini that they had slashes in the side of their face with a razor. So, it's very interesting because when you have that experience to be in the jail, right, it does enter into the brain and it does try and stop you getting the jail. But it doesn't stop you getting the jail when these, like other people get you into trouble or the police get you into trouble. Do you know what I mean? So the main problem is that you try and keep yourself out of trouble, but again, it's other people you hang about with. It does get you into a lot of trouble. And I'm a very shy man. I'm not scared. I'm just shy. You know what I mean? And I think most guys out there probably maybe be the same. Do you know what I mean?
Once you get to know you, your character opens
definitely. Up. But like what I said, see these guys which are like do serious crime, right? Like stabbing or drug dealing or anything like that, right? These guys are no bad. Do you know what I mean? When you meet them in the jail, I met really serious, bad, proper top gangsters out there. And they're really nice to you. They're always like, oh, how you doing, mate, and all that. Shake your hand, right, mate. I'll try and help you out. They try and support you and all that. They be nice to you. If you be nice to them, they will be nice back to you.
I think as well, when people are leading that type of lifestyle, they need to keep up that portrayal of being a gangster or being a hard man or the drug dealer because that's the life they're in. They can't have any sense of weakness. They can't show any weaknesses, Lee. So that they need to keep that up. But you touched on something there. So you started to get involved in with the wrong crowd. As you said, serious gangsters, and you were actually kidnapped. So can you talk me through that day in detail?
So basically what happened, I'm a big fan. I love driving. This is well before COVID and all that. Before TikTok, right? I've been involved with hanging about with the wrong crowd. Again, serious gangland people, right, gangsters. And that point, I had a BMW 3-litre diesel 5 Series, right? It's a very powerful car. And this van was following me. And I knew there was something wasn't right. So the van overtook me, right? And it was pouring down with rain that night. Early hours in the morning. And the van overtook me, pulled beside me, ran me off the road while I was in high speed, and the car flipped on top of its roof, right? And I hurted my back. I had quite minor injuries, right? So that point, while the car was on its roof in the field, these guys, which they had balaclavas, grey big guys, grey big type of lads, that point they dragged me out of the car, grabbed me by the collar, everything, the neck, and they were like very violent, like fucking get out, ya prick, and all that, proper serious gangsters for Glasgow. So anyway, at that point I was scared. Do you know what I mean? I was scared. One of them had a knuckle duster, and they were punching me right in the face and all that. I had a black eye, I couldn't see anything. My nose was bleeding. I was dizzy. I couldn't understand what was happening. I was like, I don't know what happened. Everything was so quickly happening. I was confused. I don't know what happened. So anyway, all I can remember was I was in the back of a white van, in a panel van, high speed. They put a bin bag over my head, and I was poor shaking. I was scared. I was screaming, fucking stop and all that. I'm sorry. What have I done? Fucking shut up, you prick. That's what they were saying. And then as soon as they kicked fuck out of me, I mean, like, really kicked fuck out of me, my stomach is in pain and everything. And I'm still in pain yet today because I actually got liver damage. I do have liver damage and all that, the doctor says. So that point, while the van was in high speed, they'd pushed me, kicked me, and flung me out of the van at high speed. My shoulder, my arm, I was cut, ribbon. I mean, my skin was all cuts and everything, And I was pouring down my rain, no phone, nothing, not a thing. I was scared, I don't know what to do. And that was up in, through, where Strathblane was. And then I go up towards Ballach, up with the hills and all that. So it was just that place in the middle of nowhere. But again, I've been kicked fuck out. Yep. And that's why you have to be careful. Don't hang about with serious people, because these people will come after you, you know.
So it's obviously a traumatic event.
It's serious.
And that was just before the pandemic hit?
Exactly. I'm very lucky enough I've never been stabbed, slashed, or even had a gun point to my head and fucking put the bullet.
I think as well,
you know what I mean?
We spoke about it before, so when the pandemic came, that's when you really started putting yourself out there on social media.
That's right.
And I'm sure your popularity just grew and grew and grew. Everywhere you go, people are shouting Lee, and then they're wanting selfies. But like we spoke about, you get love and hate.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially when you put yourself out there on a massive platform. During the pandemic, you started getting right into the law side of things.
That's right.
Studying law. Can you talk me through that? Because I know you've got a degree.
So basically, while I was getting myself into trouble and all that, I had this court case. It was 12 charges while I was remanded in Ballina, right? So I was using this so-called criminal lawyer. He was useless, a waste of time, right? That point, I told him straight, I said, listen, you need to try and get me out of this. And he says, I'll try and sort it out. I tried to bribe him. I said, well, listen, I'll give you £500. So I'll bank transfer you right now. He says, leave it with me and all that. I'll try and get it sorted out. I said, fucking do it now. That's what I said to him, you know. I says, I want you to try and speak to the fiscal, the PF. I said, I'm in here for 5.5 months, right? I said, you're not doing fuck all about it. That's what I said to the lawyer. I was a lawyer for Coatbridge and never ever use them. Huey trainer, that's who the lawyer is. Fucking bastards. Arseholes, that's what they are. Waste of space. So anyway, that point, never knew nothing about law. This is well before I studied criminal law and stuff like that, right? So that point, it came to a point that I represented myself. Out of 12 charges, I pled guilty to 2 charges and I walked away with a 1-year supervision order. 1 year supervision order. That's what I walked away.
So you're representing yourself in a court?
I represented myself, right? And I made a deal with the fiscal. Because of the length of time, they told me that, well, apparently that I took it to trial. One of the cases was being dropped. The police were lying, as usual, paid liars. That's what I call the police Scotland. Use our paid liars, got up to the core. So anyway, again, made a deal, got a deal, pled guilty to 2 charges, and walked away out with 10 charges. The 10 charges has been dropped, so that was it. And that was myself. I represented myself without knowing anything about law, didn't even have a clue about law, never had nothing at all. I just, you know what I mean? I never had any understanding about criminal law. So, and that point, see when I won that case, and I walked away with 1 year supervision order, I decided to go and study law. So I went and applied, look onto the internet, and I wanted to go and apply for Edinburgh Uni. So what I did was went to college and I went and just basically done all my hires and my A-levels and stuff like that to get into uni in Edinburgh. Then I went and done that for 3.5 years. And when I done that for 3.5 years, that's when I studied criminal law. And now I have a LLB law degree. So there you go.
There you go, Lee.
All right.
And I never knew that about you. I know you were well clued up on the law side of things, but I never knew you had a degree. You've actually studied it at that depth before, so it's interesting. Also know you've had many traumas throughout your life, as we know. It's difficult yourself, we spoke about it with the social media thing. How dark does that get? Because I know you get trolled all the time, the comments. I've seen it myself. It must be difficult to deal with.
It does. It's mentally tough. It's very mentally draining. It affects your fucking mental health, you know. It's tough. Like, TikTok is not what it used to be. After COVID has been eased during lockdown. See, when that's been, like, over and done with lockdown, people start becoming like demons, you know what I mean? Like very toxic, screen recording. You say anything bad on live, they love to screen record you. You know what I mean? They're fucking toxic bastards, that's what they are. These people hide behind screens and they act like keyboard gangsters. Do you know what I mean? And they never show their face, but there's something bad about you, bad mouth you. Sorry. So
as it's faceless accounts, and I know when you were going through that, you did react at some points.
Like when I started TikTok, and when that did happen, obviously going through the process of TikTok, everybody gets it, not just me. Everybody does get slander. In Scotland and Scots law, slander is not a crime, it's not a criminal offence, it's just a civil matter. But everybody slanders one another, gossip, clipe, whatever, you know. It's Scottish people, you know what I mean? It's Glaswegian people.
I'm sure you can educate us on a few things on the law. Again, we spoke about it earlier, but you've had many involvements with the police.
Yeah.
If you can give me some highlights, speak me through a few cases. I know you spoke about one, was it a bribe?
Now, so I'm good friends with the traffic cops, most of them, not all of them, but most of them. They all love me on content. They love watching everything what I do on TikTok. They get so excited, you know. Don't know why, maybe because of the drama or something, you know. So anyway, the traffic cops, it came to one time, I was speeding on the M8 motorway, right? And I was heading up towards Sauchiehall Street. That point, I'd been stopped by an unmarked police car. I think it was an Audi A6 unmarked police vehicle. I was one traffic cop. And he said to me, he says, I'm going to fling the book at you, right? He says, you're going to get £100 fine and 3 points. I says, right, okay. I said, can I get a word with you? I said, well, what is that about? I said, I want a word with you. I said, jump in the back of the car, right? Which we did. So, and what I did was I switched my phone off. And at that point, I said to him, I said, listen, I said, I'll make a deal with you, right? I bribed a cop, a traffic cop, right? And that point, I took it £100. And I says, how about take the money? I said, we'll just call it from that. That's what I said to him, right? And it came to a point that he says, oh, I can't take that. I said, listen, I said, my phone is switched off and all that, right? I said, you know me through TikTok and all that. I said, listen, I said, fuck the system, right? I said, fuck the fucking system. That's what I said to the copper. I says, I'm making you a deal. I says, take the £100. I says, and don't give us the fine because I got penalty points on my driving licence. And that's what I did. I bribed the copper and he did. He took it. I says, well, I says, don't fucking tell any cunt about this. That's what that traffic cop said. And you know what I did? I went and shook his hand and all that. He says, away, fuck off out my motor. That's what he said.
Here we are now, you're telling it live on the podcast.
There you go.
Proud of you.
Yep. The very best of my knowledge, that's true and accurate, everyone.
Well done for that, Lee. So
Right.
talk me through, I know you spoke about, you talk about penalty points and stuff like that, 'cause
Right.
not a lot of people know these things.
Yep.
And you were telling me there's a certain law.
Right, so basically, a lot of people doesn't understand that. I educate a lot of people. I make a lot of videos. A lot of people message me on TikTok. So apparently that if you have over 12 penalty points or more, did you know that you can get to keep your driving licence? There's a thing called a hardship, right? Hardship means that if you have a full-time employment or a job, or if you're a carer of somebody, or even if you have a disabled child, example, you can get to keep your driving licence. Example, 15 penalty points or even 20 penalty points. You can still get to keep your driving licence and you can still drive your car, and it's legit.
It's interesting.
And it's
Lee,
called a hardship. That's what it's called.
because I never knew that myself.
So there you go.
So we'll tap into the family traumas now. I know it's difficult to speak about for yourself.
Yep.
You had many a traumas with your mum and your granda. If you can talk us through the story with your mum first.
So before COVID, before TikTok and COVID, I went through a very hard time. My mum went through a very hard time. She has a gallbladder problem with kidney stones. So anyway, she needed to go for an operation. She had really terrible pain and all that. I felt sorry for her. It was heartbreaking, you know. And she went into the Royal Infirmary Hospital. I'm talking about, 2015, roughly. And that point, my mum was in hospital and the doctor said that, listen, your mum needs to go for operation. It's a very serious one. So my mum needed to fill a few forms and all that. And so in a very bad state, you know. I was only, just a young guy back then, I couldn't understand that much, you know what I mean? But see, like today now, I do have my common sense, But when she had the operation, the doctor said that your mum died for 4.5 minutes. I couldn't believe it, 4.5 minutes, and it really hurted me, you know what I mean?
So she's died and then she's came back?
She came back 4.5 minutes later. I was shocked, And I was there every single day at the hospital, I felt really bad,
That's taking its toll on your mental health as well at that time.
But before she died, 4.5 minutes, the doctor did say, they said, make sure you come in, get all your family come in. He said, because this is a very serious operation, your mum have to go through. I wasn't really expecting it. I was stupid back then, a young guy back then, maybe in your, 20s or something like that. Young guys that age, they're not fully developing the brain, do you know what I mean? They're just daft wee guys, I was a daft wee guy. I wasn't under 100% sure what I was doing, But
how's your relationship with your family now, Lee?
Yeah, they have a great relationship with my mum, my parents and all that, my dad and all that stuff.
How do they feel about you being this popular on social media and like a public figure?
My mum hates it. She does hate it because, I don't know, it's like she gets really embarrassed, you know what I mean? She gets really, really embarrassed. It's just very shameful. You know what I mean? Our own son, I could imagine,
I know you still have your struggles to this day, like we all do, but not a lot of people like to speak about it, but it's good to get the message out there for anybody watching that are going through their own struggles.
I understand that.
Because you do it sometimes. I've seen some of your videos where you're breaking down.
Yeah,
and
so I broke down a number of times. I don't tell my parents anything, do you know what I mean? I try and keep that to myself. I don't want to tell, I don't think any guy, like their son and daughter out there, want to tell their parents anything. Because they don't want, you don't want to put their parents, which, my mum's 55 years old, I think, my mother. And she's a very weak woman, do you know what I mean? She's really, really, she doesn't keep very well, do you understand? And I don't tell her nothing. I don't tell her much about it, do you know what I mean? And she does worry, do you know what I mean? And I think any mum and dad out there with their sons and daughters, they would actually worry. And I think a lot of people would actually keep that to themselves, do you know what I mean?
Definitely, so it's good for you to come on here and speak about this as well.
Exactly, right.
I know you had recent trauma. You were very close to your granda.
I was.
He passed away, and that's really badly affected your mental health, and it can't help when you're on these social media platforms and you're getting a lot of trolls and stuff like that. So can you speak me through those emotions?
So basically, it came to a point that obviously I'm up for what I'm up. I'm not allowed to talk about it. A lot of people understand. So anyway, criminal justice social workers, they took advantage out of me. Fucking rats, that's what they are. Hate them. Everybody hates them. Well, most people hate them.
Is this the one you were telling me about? Is it community service? What happened?
Aye, so basically, when I got out, obviously, because of this, whatever, right? So, moving on, the social worker argued with me, questioned me, stuff like that. That point, I told her nothing, right? Never told her nothing, because I don't trust these people whatsoever. These people, it was a manager, criminal justice, and my supervision order, right? So there were two of them. And I only had 25 hours left in my unpaid work, right? And I have never even got to finish it. I have not even got to finish it. And I spent 51 days in that jail, right? And I've been put into Ballini for 51 days for absolutely fucking nothing because of a sewing machine, right? A sewing machine. And the thread, because of the pin, it's been snapped, right? Because of the thickness of the fucking fabric, you know what I mean? So, that point, the needle snapped, and I tried to explain that to them. And that's what they breached my order because a needle had been snapped. Even the manager woman tried to sort it out. Even the needle has been snapped. That was one of the staff members at unpaid work. You
So
know?
they breached your order.
So
and you had to go.
actually, that's what they did. They breached my order, and again, because I never told them anything about it, my understanding of the cases and all that, right? So that point, they have went and submitted the report back to Airdrie Sheriff Court, right? That point, as soon as they said that, I fucking devastated, like I burst out in tears and everything.
Remanded?
I was remanded for 51 days. Remanded. So I got in the jail, I think it was the 5th of October or something. I was in there for 3 months, and I got out on the 18th of December. Sheriff understood. The sheriff actually understood that in Airdrie Sheriff Court. I explained everything to the sheriff. I told him, I said, listen, my granddad doesn't keep very well. I said, my granddad stays in the middle of nowhere, which he does. He was staying in Balfrone Station, right? Again, I just want to say my granddad passed away. So that point, before this happened, my granddad was still living at that point. I was devastated. I was worried. I don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? I was frustrated. I was going through a lot. My mental health was fucked. Do you know what I mean? My mind was just going a million things at a time. I don't know what to do. I was confused. I was in me people, and people were bad mouthing me, and people like junkies and that coming into the cell. I was sharing a different cell. I was into another cell. I was into a different hall. You know what I mean? The food was fucking rotten in the jail. You know what I mean? I couldn't hardly eat. And I wanted to go and see a nurse. I tried to argue with the screws and all that. I was fighting with them.
Did you ever have to use violence?
I did, I was
to
swearing
protect
at them.
yourself?
What's that?
To protect yourself in there, did you ever come up against any violence?
I did. So I was arguing with a few of the screws in Ballini while I was in the jail in Ballini. I was arguing with them, shouting them, fuck you and all that. That's what I said to them. I was sleeping in my bed. I was struggling to sleep. I couldn't hardly sleep. I never slept for days. Do you know what I mean? And, like being in the cells, it's like a gym mattress, it's painful. Your body is in pain, uncomfortable sleep. It's not a place, it's not a great environment which anybody wants to be in the jail, especially your mental health. I'm a very capable, strong man, but see any man that breaks down in tears. I was burst out in tears mostly every second night. Do you know what I mean? Not just burst out in tears like 1 or 2 times. I burst out in tears like 10 times a day. Do you know what I mean? Any man out there, doesn't matter how hard or how much of a gangster you are, any man out there burst out in tears. We all human beings end of the day. We have flesh and blood, do you know what I mean? So
when you were released, was your granddad still alive at that point?
My granddad was still alive. So that point, I managed to applied for my driving licence and all that, got myself a car, and obviously I was banned. I was disqualified for 6 months there, but I managed to get it back and all that. Christmas was just round the corner. It was just a week after, I went to see my granddad. I promised the court, because I argued with the court, I argued with the sheriff and all that. I said, listen, I said, I'm begging you, I'm really begging you now. I said, get me out. I said, I need to support my granddad, And I did, I actually I burst out in tears. I showed a lot of remorse, a lot of morals and all that to the front of the sheriff. I did. I burst out in tears, put an argument with the sheriff.
Again, you're representing yourself.
Again, I represented myself and all that, And the sheriff understood that, and the sheriff knew that these criminal justice social workers for Cumbernauld are fucking liars. That's what they are, absolute, just witches. That's what they are, horrible people, really, really horrible, toxic people. You just could not imagine how horrible they are.
So you've had many things with the law, obviously. Representing yourself, it must be tough, but when you've got that law degree, because there's no many people that could go up into a court and represent themselves and do well and get bail. So well done for that. Also, how is your mental health now, Lee? Are you still having your struggles?
I still struggle today. I do struggle. I was in a mess when I knew my granddad was going. He died by a heart attack. He was a heavy drinker, my granddad was. He was just poor drinking bottles of whiskey and all that. I was there mostly 3 or 4 days a week. 3 or 4 days a week I was. Helped him out, get his medication, take him to shops, stuff like that. And he's always loved to You know, he always liked to jump into a motor and go for a drive. You know what I mean? And my granddad's a very lonely man, and I was the only one was there to help him out, support him, you know. And I'm just trying to keep my tears in.
No, you're fine, mate.
You know, it's painful. Trust me, it's really painful. It's horrible. It's just, you know, my mum was in a mess, you know, and just, sorry.
No, you're all right, Lee. It's good to speak about these things, and we're going to get emotional, especially when you're talking about family members who you were close to, you grew up with your whole life. So we'll go off that subject now, because I know you're tearing up there.
I'm sorry, I do apologise.
No, you don't need to apologise, you're fine. It's hard, mate. And it's a trauma that you carry about with you, and it's no easy to deal with. So we'll move on now, right? Because I know how big you are on social media. There's people trying to get clout on your name. You were fucked over by someone that tried to befriend you, supposedly help you out with a job. So we're going to tap into that subject now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, and so I know you had many videos released regarding this incident, right, or many incidents. So I know somebody reached out to you, and his name was Kaz Milligan.
Yep, that's right.
Can you talk me through that?
So,
how did it all start?
Kaz Milligan, as everybody knows, he's a muppet. He's just, I don't know, a chase clout. That's what he is. He loves to chase for clout from social media, TikTok, right? So anyway, moving on, I made a video, right, and I wanted to get myself a job, you know. I thought that it would help my mental health, you know. This is when my granddad passed away, you know. So anyway, moving on, everybody was supporting me. A lot of people understood that. I made a video and I wanted to try and get myself a job. I wanted people's help, you know what I mean? And I managed to get a job. I got a message from Instagram on my phone. That point, the guy said that, he says, "Oh, you interested in a job?" I say, "A full-time job." I say, "Selling vans," you know. I says, "Aye." I said, "We're interested in that." Took a screenshot. I sent it to Kaz Milligan on his Instagram, right, because obviously I was still friends at that point. So I said to Kaz Milligan, I said, "I got this job." I said, "The guy is asking me, you know, like, come in for an interview." I was in West Lothian selling vans, you know, and got the job. This is him, Kaz Milligan, telling everybody that, "Oh, I managed to get Lee Sutherland a job, and, you know, we got this and we got that. I'm going to try and help him out, and how do I think that, you know, Lee Sutherland doing well, and it's, you know, it's all me, it's all down to me and all that, you know." And I thought to myself, what a fucking idiot, you know. You never even helped me out at all. That's what I said to him. "Oh, but I'm just trying to support you and all that." And I said to him, I said, "Support me?" I said, "What the fuck are you trying to support me for? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just making a fool of yourself. You're telling lies." That's what I said to him, right? And then that point, I said to him, I says, "Well," I said, "get these videos deleted." That's what I said to him. And then, so anyway, moving on, going through the job, and he came to the job and he started making videos. He says, oh, I got Lee Sutherland a job and he's doing well with the vans, and what an idiot, what a bum, you know.
No, I seen that. So I seen that video, and would you say then he was using yourself to gain popularity by making these videos, making it out that he helped you in a way?
Exactly. He was just trying to use me for clout. Everybody understood that on TikTok, you know what I mean? That point, I said, so anyway, we had a falling out. I left the job because of these wee dafties and all that, like, you know, phoning the guy up. And it was really annoying, you know what I mean? Even the pay money, the wages was £300, you know what I mean? It was pish, you know what I mean? So I left the job. I walked out and I left the job, you know, and that was it. That was the end of. I said to the guy, I said, "I don't want to go back to the job anymore." So that was it.
Did you say people were phoning up the guy?
Aye, he was phoning
the business, and
it was winding. It was just like wee daft wee guys phoning up. "Hi, can I speak to Lee Sutherland, the criminal lawyer sales van?" You know, like that there. "Is Big Lee there?" You know, like that there. And the guy was getting really annoyed with it. Do you know what I mean? And it was just constant phone call after phone call, mental, absolutely mental. And because of that fucking Kaz Milligan opening his big stupid mouth and using me for clout and made a fool of myself, you know what I mean? I made a fool of the guy's business, you know.
How long were you in the job for?
I was in for the job about 3 or 4 days, I think. So about 4 days, I think I was in the job. And I needed to walk out, you know what I mean? And I was quite ashamed. I felt really shameful. Do you know what I mean? I felt sorry for the guy's business. And that's Kaz Milligan rattling on, making multiple videos. Do you know what I mean? Using me for clout. Doesn't he give a fuck? You know what I mean?
So would you say there was never a friendship there then?
There would never been a friendship.
So when did it start to go kind of toxic?
So when I left the job, Kaz Milligan messaged me. And he said to me, he says, why did you left the job? I said, well, because it's yourself. I said, you're making multiple videos. I says, and you're telling everybody that, you know, where my job is, and do you know what I mean? And you're just basically using me for clout. I said, you're telling lies as well. Now, I went toe-to-toe with him, right? I did went toe-to-toe with him. I put him straight to his corner. And I said to Kaz, I said, listen, you. I said, stop taking the mickey out of me. I said, you're taking advantage out of me. I said, you're telling lies to everybody on TikTok. I said, you said that you got me this job. I said, you said that you got me a hotel as well. I said, I wasn't a hotel. I said, I was a homeless placement. I said, you're a liar, Kaz. I said, you're a fucking dirty liar. I said, everything comes out your mouth, I say, is vile. That's what I said to him. I did. I went toe-to-toe with him. And the things I would actually want to come out with, again, because of this hate crime thing, I don't want to say too much on it. Do you know what I mean? So I did. I went mental with him.
So you're touching on the hate crime thing. So this new law that's came out there in the
so the new hate crime in the 1st of April, that you're not allowed to say too much about homophobic remarks or like religion stuff or anything like that. If you say anything hate about it, somebody feels how could I explain it? If somebody feels that putting them in a fear and alarm or put them in a state of fear and alarm, then they have a right to contact the police and report this to the police, you know. So if I said anything which like something which is like hate crime, they could potentially feel their state in a fear and alarm. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
It does, Lee. So we'll go back into the Kaz Milligan thing.
Yeah.
He's were toe-to-toe. He's using you for clout, making videos, multiple videos up. I seen the video where he was in saying that he got you the job and you were selling the vans, stuff like that. I know there was a recent boxing charity event.
Yeah.
And some of the content on there went viral. Mm-hmm. Can you speak me through that in detail? Because I know you turned up that day.
So, I've been invited. This was before the job. This was before the van sales job. Kaz Milligan invited me to go to the press conference, right? Which I met everybody all together. Everybody was there at the boxing event, 5-0 Jasper and all that example. So the property boss, big shout out to him. He's all right. He's decent enough. Very old school. You know what I mean? Very old school. But Kaz Milligan he's all full of brags and all that. You know what I mean? Imagine pulling up a big Rolls Royce. That's all he wanted me for. He wanted me to stand there, open the door, right, while he's just walking out or jumping out a fucking Rolls Royce and all suited and booted. You see the pair of shoes he was basically wearing? You know, the shoes were just embarrassment. Do you know what I mean? It was so embarrassment. I was fucking ashamed, you know.
Is this at the press conference?
Aye, in the press conference, aye, while he was walking out of that Rolls Royce, you know, the black Rolls Royce. And this is him. Right, let's do it. You know, his suit and all that, you know, his wee fancy chain, you know, like that programme, The Night at the Roxbury. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I've seen it.
Aye, them two guys with the chain and the suits and all that, you know.
Will Ferrell's it?
That's right, aye. That's the way he was. Just try, you know. I think, see Kaz Milligan, I think he's got something, he'd that size there. I think he's something, but he isn't. Do you know what I mean?
So can you talk me through the day of the event then? Because I know you turned up, were you told you weren't welcome at it after that?
Aye, that's right. But anyway, I was going to say that, see when I was open the door and shaked his hand and all, that's all he was interested in, you know. But anyway, that point, after this van sales job, right, when I left that job, this is him when I went toe-to-toe, me and Kaz Milligan, both of us, we had a falling out. So we had a falling out and we never got on after that. And Kaz Milligan blocked me. He blocked me on TikTok and that was it. So our friendship is down the drain. So there you go. And I'm not really caring less. I don't care. I'm not interested. I don't have any friendship or any response with Kaz Milligan because my understanding is a bam. That's what he is. I'd have to.
So when you turned up that day at the event,
Yep.
talk me through that.
I did die. So I wanted to see the boxing event. I was supporting the property boss. Everybody was supporting the property boss. Did you see the song which the property boss put on? The Caroline song. Remember the Caroline?
Right.
That was so funny. Oh, Caroline, would there be no shame?
Was that his entrance to the ring?
That was his entrance to the boxing event.
Were you there at that point, still in the...
I wasn't into the boxing event. I was standing all that time. And I was just like talking to everybody, shaking their hands. It was just loads of people and all that. Everybody loved me, you know what I mean? And everybody was all like shouting out to the property boss, come on, property boss, fucking come on and all that, you know. I know you're going to do it, you know what I mean? So
Did you get into the event and then was escorted
I
out?
managed to get into the event. There were 3 young guys. They were supporting the property boss and all that. Slip into the wee fire exhibit, into the hotel. That point, I was in for at least 10 minutes. Kaz Milligan's big, tall security guard, he saw me. He says, you out now. You shouldn't be in here. You're not invited, you know. I couldn't do much about it. And then Kaz Milligan's dad called me a tube. You know what I mean? Called me a tube. Imagine calling me a tube, you know. So anyway, walked out, got out, never returned back into the hotel. And then at that point, I think it was like, I don't know, 20 minutes later or something, I seen the property boss arriving, him and his, what's his, I can't remember, Gemma, I think her wife, property boss's wife, Gemma and all that. And I said to the property boss, I says, I want you to make sure you gave him a good proper kicking, you know what I mean? A good proper showing to get him to knock a bit of common sense into his nut, you know? And he did. He actually did, you know what I mean? And you can everybody clearly understood that the property boss was just poor slinging punches at him, you know what I mean?
So he obviously won the fight then?
Well, it was a draw, but that was a farce.
Oh, was it? I never seen the results.
No, it was a draw. That's what it was. It was a draw. But everybody knew, everybody understood that the property boss did win. Do you know what I mean? Imagine making that up as a farce, you know what I mean? That is a total fraud and a farce.
But at the end of the day, it was still raising money for charity, so...
It's only for charity.
As much a social media circus it is, it's still for charity, but we'll skip by that now. So, what about yourself, Lee? Where do you see yourself going now? Are you still going to continue doing your social media? What sort of life plans have you got? Do you have a picture for the future, or are you just taking every day as it comes?
So, the way I see potentially in myself, I'm just a single man, 30 years old. I'm Lee Sutherland. Everybody, it's either you like me or not like me. Again, the trolls hate me. And the way I see it, the trolls are your biggest fans. And there always will be fans. So, you know, and that's the way TikTok is. That's the way social media is. But the biggest hater is Kaz Milligan. He gets a lot of viewers. Do you know what I mean? He gets like well over 3,000 viewers, and it's all haters, you know what I mean? It's all trolls and haters, but again, they're all fans because they want to see everything what he's up to. But for myself, I just want to do content, do you know what I mean? I want to help people out, educate people, what I've been through in prisons and jails and all that. Understand these young guys, they understand, listen, stop acting like a wee hard man or a gangster, because it's not going to make you any harder. Do you know what I mean? Being a gangster is not the way forward. You know, get on, continue with your life, get yourself a girlfriend or a partner or whatever, and settle down and have a family. That is the right pathway. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it. Because when you have a family, At least you focus on that instead of going about acting like a wee hard man and selling gear or drugs or whatever, trying to make paper. Do you know what I mean? Most guys, sorry.
No, and you go. So, do you see yourself settling down with a family of your own? Is that kind of a picture you have in your mind?
I do want to have a family. Aye, definitely, 100%. I will possibly have a family in the future. It's just, again, being through and being a stupid guy. You know what I mean? I've been through a very hard time, kidnapped, mum being very unwell and stuff like that. Granddad passed away in and out of the fucking jail. You know what I mean? Social workers taking advantage of you. People phoning the police again. Well, phoning the police on TikTok, making up lies and rumours saying I'm drunk driving a car or I'm disqualified driving a car. You know what I mean? There's no need for that whatsoever. You know, if I was on TikTok live and I'm driving my car, clearly, I'm not going to be so stupid as that to go onto a social media platform and show everybody that I'm driving a car with no licence. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'm not daft, I'm not stupid. Do you know what I mean? But that's the way people see me. You know?
Well, that's the subject I wanted to touch on, because people do have this opinion of people when they see them online, right? And they say, oh, they're daft, or they're not a full shilling, or they're this, or they're that. But just sitting with you, right? I get to know the real you.
Yep.
And you're definitely intelligent. You're a smart guy. You've got a degree in law. Sometimes your videos you put out there, we know you're no daft. Well, I know anyway. Just by, as I say, just by sitting with you. So well done for that.
Yep, thank you.
But also, right, before we finish up on this episode,
right,
if you could send another message out that's going to inspire people and help people in the audience watching, now is the time.
So, mental health is a very important thing, because that's what really took me out. Everybody's got mental health. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got it, and that's the most important thing. What really helped me with mental health? To get up and walk away from Scotland and move down to England. That's what helped me. Do you know what I mean? You have to really try and keep yourself to yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that's the most important thing, is mental health. Because see, when you're so far down the drain, and which I was down the drain, I was completely fucked. Do you know what I mean? My mind was in a mess. I was, police was taking advantage out of me, social workers, trolls and stuff like that. And it's not a good thing. Do you know what I mean? And I tried to self-harm myself. I tried to fling myself over a bridge. I tried to kill myself, see the amount of times, and there's only one thing, and I'll tell you one thing, see God, see the Lord Jesus, right? See Jesus. Jesus is the most important thing. I seen myself sitting into a police cell, right? And I burst out in tears multiple times, and I'm very strong. I am capably strong. Do you know what I mean? Very tough, mentally minded. But see, when it comes to that point, and you're so scared to be in the jail, there's only one thing, and there's only one defence out there, is God. God is real, trust me. See the amount of times I begged and I prayed to God multiple times, and I said to God, I said, please, Lord Jesus, I said, please help me. I said, please get me out of this situation. So I don't want to be banged up behind bars in the jail. Nobody doesn't want to be behind jail. Do you know what I mean? It's not a thing. No any human being in a frame of mind would actually be coping to be in the fucking jail. Do you know what I mean? I've been in the jail 7 times, and it's horrible. It's tough. It's mentally draining. It takes a lot out of you. Like, you feel ill, you feel sick, you feel you miss family, you miss your parents, your mum, your dad, or whatever, right? Your loved ones. But see, when I was in that jail for 51 days, and I knew my granddad passed away, that really hurted me. That social workers, I'll never forgive them. I'll never forgive them people. What they did to me, they were fucking teared me to pieces, you know what I mean? And my mother was, I don't know what to do, you know? Again, my mother's not a strong woman. She's very weak, you know what I mean? And I never, ever tell her nothing, do you know what I mean? And I keep everything to myself, and I do have a lot of problems. And some of yous, big fans out there, they understand that. But see, when it comes to that point, never get yourself down. Do you know what I mean? Never get yourself down. You just have to focus on, you have to keep yourself occupied. I have friends down in England, and it's a good job that, because I was staying down there and I was very close to killing myself. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to kill myself, but it's hard. It's really, really tough, you know.
Well, you're obviously a strong character.
It's tough. It's
going
mentally
through all that,
draining.
Lee. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish up, my friend?
Always remember there's a defence for every offence out there. I always say that. The reason why I say that, right, is because I believe there's a defence for every offence. The amount of driving offences and breach of the peace and breach of bail and all that, the amount of times I never ever had a custodial sentence. It's always been remand. And see, today yet, still never had a custodial sentence. Do you know what I mean? Always been on the suspended sentence, supervision order, community service. It's amazing. And I just want to say a big shout out to all my fans for supporting me. But that's it.
No, it's a beautiful message, mate. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
It's
you
been
so
an
much.
absolute honour
I
having you
appreciate
on. I'm sure we'll do a part 2 somewhere along the lines.
Hopefully.
Thanks again, Lee.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
always remember a defence for every offence out there. There you go.
Thanks again, Lee.
Cheers. Thank you.